Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing?
Doing well, sister. How are you tonight, this
I
evening?
I am doing well. I'm wondering where you get this golden light that you got going on for this bronzed look that you have going on today.
Well, thank you. Actually,
Let me change my
I
lighting, child. Let me just see what I can do.
just turned off the overhead lights and realized that this gave me a better look.
Oh,
So see
okay.
what? See? Kind of
Mm-hmm.
washes me out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And voila!
Voila. Well, ooh la la, everybody. If you out there watching live, we want to thank you for tuning in to Hey Sister Live. We ask that you like, follow, share, subscribe, tell your friends and your family all about Hey Sister and that they can catch us live on Sundays on Facebook and YouTube. And you can catch replays anytime on the social media outlets or by subscribing to Hey Sister on your favorite podcasting platform. So, yes, search for Hey Sister, search for Demetria and Christina. You will find us there and subscribe there. So we could be your drive time entertainment. How about that?
Yes.
And in typical Hey Sister fashion, we ask that you join the conversation in the comments. We want to hear from you. We want you to be involved in discussing all things all things. Hey, sister. For sisters, by sisters, and about who?
Sisters and misters.
That's right, about the sisters and the misters. So if you're tuning in tonight, let us know where you're watching from. We appreciate you for being here with us. But tonight we said we want to just jump into relationship matters. Yes, relationship matters. So we've been, like you, there's just been a spate of reporting in the news about celebrity breakups, makeups, scandals, um, all types of things. Hey, Kiana, thanks for tuning in from
Yeah,
the
I was doing
home.
my little happy dance because since she's got this clinical background, maybe she can chime in on some of this stuff.
Girl, we're going to need you to chime in tonight in the comments for sure. Um, And she's also been married for a while, so she has
Yes.
another perspective as well. But there's been so much in the news lately about these various stories that I was like, we need to talk about this. And relationships. The first relationship we have, the one we have with ourselves, is hard. So keeping relationships with other people can be a challenge, right, sister?
Oh yes, it can be. I
Okay.
mean, yeah. I mean, and look, every encounter we have with another human being is a relationship. Now, the depth of the relationship obviously changes depending on the person, but we have many and multiple relationships throughout the course of our lives.
Yeah. Well, last week when we were celebrating your birthday and we brought on some of your friends who you've had for a very long time and you've seemed to be able to navigate and maintain those relationships over the years. And you all talked about the ups and downs, how things life circumstances, but how you always still rally, come together and support each other no matter what. So how have you been able to do that? How have you been able to with those girls you met in the second grade that you talked
Right.
about, right? How have you been able to navigate that?
For me, I mean, I am learning every day to meet people where they are. And I'm also learning every day that um I when you told me about the four agreements, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if for anybody who hasn't read, it's a book. I don't remember the author's name, so I could look it up real quick. But when you were telling me about the four agreements, there was a specific part in it, and he talks about loving people and saying how basically if you're in a relationship, and he was probably being more specific about like a marriage or what have you. But I think it again transcends marriage, and it applies to all relationship. If you love somebody, you don't try to change that person. And so if you're feeling like you're constantly wanting that person to be something different and to change, then maybe you really don't love that person as much as you think you do. And you should probably find somebody that you do love, as opposed to trying to change that person into something that you want them to be. And so that is something that I am still learning and trying to do more and more every day. And so I think what I've come to realize in my relationships with women, particularly my female relationships, is our female friendships, is that we all come to the relationship, right, with our assumptions, our experiences, our baggage, what have you, how we were raised, and the things that our value system, things like that. You know, just because you and a person don't align on 100% of things doesn't mean that you have to throw that relationship away. And that has been something that I have had to learn. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes you don't have to love people from a distance. And it certainly doesn't mean sometimes you don't need to take a break from them, because sometimes you do need to take breaks to regroup and, readjust. But if it's a true friendship, and if the relationship is meaningful to you, then obviously you're gonna work at it. You're gonna work to keep it to being something that you want it to you will work to maintain it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
So, and then
Yeah.
and then to be honest, there are times where you do have to come to the place and space in your life where you examine it, and you may say, you know what, this no longer serves either one of us. I think we
Mhm.
all have heard people come into your life for a reason, season, or lifetime. I give credence to that as well. And so if it's worth maintaining for a lifetime, then you're going to have to work at it. If you feel like it was just a season of your life that you and that person were in relationship with each other, then cool. Once the season passes, then there should be no harm, no foul. But more often than not, it's a lot of harm and a lot of foul. So then there are deeper questions there.
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of harm and fouls. And for those of you who are not familiar with the four agreements, went ahead and dropped it in the chat about the book, as well as what the four agreements are. They're be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, and always do your best. It's an easy read. It's an easy listen to on audiobook. But there's so many tools and pearls in there that you just drop. And yeah, like we meet people where they are, and and if we're trying to force something, then maybe it's not about them. It's actually about us, right?
Mhm,
So we have
mhm.
to take a look within, go within. How about that? Um, so, all right, let's see. So let's talking about some of these relationships that have been in the news lately. So you talked about your girlfriends. We'll start with not a couple relationship, but a business partnership, and that definitely went awry. It has gone awry many years ago. But we want to talk about Mason Diddy, right? So there have been in more recent news
Right.
conversation,
The
uh,
latest.
the latest, right? Because there's been a lot of back and forth, right? And so Diddy appeared on the Breakfast Club, did an interview. Mace responded to that, and so for those of you who are a fan of '90s hip hop, you couldn't see Mace without Diddy or Diddy without Mace there for a while.
Mhm.
Bad Boy Records, they definitely put it on the map, but that soured many years ago. And so, in this latest kerfuffle or what have you around the owing of money, boy, does money interfere with relationships. So,
Mm.
sister, break it down for us. What kind of like when this started, how it all has gone, and what some of the things have been said recently.
Well, it sounds that like Diddy went on the Breakfast Club, and in some portion of the interview, he was basically saying if any artist feels that they owe, he owes them any money, that they should produce their respective receipts, and he would pay them within 24 hours. To what to which Mr. Mason Betha responded that one, everything is in Miss Janice Combs' name, i.e., Puffy's mother's name, and two, that he listed off a series of artists, namely Notorious B.I.G., Craig Mack, and then Black
Black
Rob,
Rob.
as three artists who can no longer produce receipts because unfortunately they are deceased. So yeah, so that's the latest kerfuffle in a nutshell. And we'll see. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be more back and forth. It's interesting. There was another comment that Mace made about basically not wanting Puffy to come on stage because he's on, I guess he's touring or something with Cameron and Jadakiss or something like that. And he was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna have him come on stage with his little fake apology just so he could promote his song." And it's funny because in thinking about what happened yesterday with Eddie Robinson Jr. Um and
Deion
Deion
Sanders.
Sanders, it was a similar, like, hey, if you wouldn't hollering at me like that on something genuine beforehand, don't try to come at the end of the game and want to embrace me. We not like that. We not cool like that. So that's it's all very interesting. But at the end of the day, one thing you have taught me, sister, when
What
it
have I
comes to
taught you, sister?
money, don't give what you can't afford to lose.
Whoo, ain't that a word? If y'all think that's a word, drop a comment down there in the comments. Girl, you might have to type that in the comments for me so I don't forget that I
Okay.
said that.
No,
Hey, I said that, girl. Type it in the comments and make sure you give me some attribution for that.
okay,
But
I don't
it's
think I can. I think you can. I'm not logged in, so you can.
oh, okay, all right. So say it again. What I said? I
Don't give
said
what you can't afford to lose.
yes, honey. And I'm gonna
And
put
you basically came out of a conversation of, if somebody comes to you and say, I'm just, making this up, they ask you for $500. You don't have $500, then you have the right to say, hey, look, I don't know what you're going through. I don't have $500 to give, but here's $50 and I'm going to pray for you. Or here's $100 and I wish you well. Give what you can, but don't give what you can't afford to lose, because then because I promise every time you see that person on the Instagram with a new dress or some tennis shoes, you're going to be like, I mean, she owed me
me
$50.
$50.
Right.
Absolutely. And so we were talking about Mason Diddy, and we were talking, because this is a business relationship that has gone south, right? That probably started out as a friendship, that probably started out as a partnership and collaboration, and it has gone south. And money, it matters, money exchange, people getting paid, people not getting paid. And I would say that anytime you are in a collaboration, in any type of partnership, especially if it's related to business, and I don't care if you've known that person your entire life, get your legal documents in order.
Mhm.
Because if you love each other, and we're going to talk about couple relationships in a minute, but if you love each other, then there should be no question, no qualm about going and protecting each other's interests in the form of legal documentation, having agreements formed and signed, and all of those things to protect everyone and protect everyone's feelings and emotions. Because when it comes down to it, and if things fall apart, you have your documents in order. And it sounds like what occurred was standard music industry stuff.
Well, May said that he didn't sign any paperwork. The others did. And yeah, we know that is standard. And listen, Diddy comes from a long line of A&R and other music executives who if they can get over on you, they will. And while I don't know that I necessarily agree with um that
And I'm not
approach.
even going to say get over. If
Well,
you
yeah,
if
no,
you
not get
are
over,
willing
but
to sign an agreement
right.
and not respecting your own value and worth, you can't expect other people to respect your value and worth on the back end if you didn't put it in a contract about what the back end is going to look like.
Well, and I
Period.
would I would even say that the challenge is that there are some people who just don't know. And of course, that's when I say take advantage of, which is
Yes.
not a but it's not a good term. It's not good phrasing. You're right. If someone knows that, look, this person really doesn't know, or they're just trying to get out the hood, and well, Tamron Hall said that's not a good word for me to use. So if
Well,
they,
girl, okay, we can talk about that because people been talking about the word hood lately, and I'm like, hood is just a derivative of
the
neighborhood. I don't
neighborhood,
know
yeah.
where, I don't know when we decide to start adding these negative connotation and values to so many terms lately, but hood is a derivative of neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I use it. And I know everybody doesn't use it like that, but that is how I use it. Cause I'm always talking about, like, yeah, I'm walking around my hood or whatever. That's my neighborhood. But anyway, the point is, if somebody's just trying to elevate themselves, let's say that way, elevate themselves, and they're just trying to get there the quickest way they can. Sometimes they sign their name on things that, I mean, look, we all sign up for mobile phone contracts and none of us read them. So
And we don't, and we're on these platforms right now, which I'm sure we haven't read all the privacy agreements, but we know we gave them access to our cameras and our microphone, and every time we talk about something, boop, it magically appears in our search engine. How about that? So that's a relationship, we're a little toxic relationship we all in right now. How about that? Well, other relationship news, and we're gonna get into some of the couple news that we heard about. Okay, so let's dive in first to this Adam Levine going down in the DM.
you tell us the story about this.
I don't. I can't really tell. I'm gonna drop the comment, drop the thing in
Link in the comments.
the link in the comments. But I just want to say, folks, it's never a good idea to go down in the DMs. Period. And if you have a wife who's pregnant, it probably really is not a good idea to get into any other woman's DM. But then when they are, and this is always gets me because everybody's, I guess I'm an Instagram model. Am I? I think I am, right?
No, you're not. Don't worry about
I'm not.
it.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
man, I'm on Instagram. I guess if I take the right pictures, then I could call myself an Instagram model, right?
I'm gonna say that most Instagram models are probably advertising their not for clothing lines.
How about that?
So
Okay. So anyway, at one Adam Levine, who is the lead singer of the group Maroon 5, you probably remember him from and maybe you don't remember him from one of the Super Bowl performances when people were like, "Who is that?" But why has he got his shirt off with all these tattoos? That was one of those Super Bowls. We were like,
let's say
why?
walk like Jagger, or what was it? Um
Yeah, moving like Jagger.
Wait, I want to
Yeah.
know the exact song because
Move Like Jagger, several songs. I like Maroon
yeah,
5. I
move
like
like
their music.
Jagger. There you
Yeah,
go. I was
I
saying
like their
walk.
music. So Adam Levine, with his pregnant wife, decided to just make these very cringe-worthy comments in the DMs of another woman. The one that was most cringe-worthy to me, that he made to the woman, and you can go through this through the whole thread that I shared with you all, was that, oh, I'm thinking about naming my child your name. Are you going to be okay with that? And I was like, for real, dude? For real, for real? I don't know. I just think that So flirting, being flirtatious, I think there's a place for all of that. But I think in the world in which we live in, which we always knew, what we were always taught, if you don't want to see it on the headline news, don't do it, don't say it, right? And that's what we were told, right? If you don't want your grandmother to see you on the news, then don't do XYZ, right? If you don't want to see this on the cover of the New York Times, don't do this. There's just some basic decency and decorum that people have lost in this age of social media. And so for anyone to think that anything you would send to someone and think it's going to be kept anonymous or it's going to be kept private, what world are you living in? So if you want to flirt with somebody and you don't and your name is Adam Levine or anybody else and you don't have an NDA set up, expect it to come back to your front door. And even if you're not Adam Levine, if you just Chucky Booker, um
Wait,
Jenny from the block,
oh,
anybody.
okay. Because you're
I'm
like
just saying.
calling out people's real names. I was like, wait, Chucky Booker. Wait.
No, I'm just
Okay,
calling
go ahead.
out random names, right? Whoever you are, right? If you Daquan, whoever you are, if you don't want it to come back to your front door, don't send it. There's an art of having conversation that has been lost. And so that's why people get on these platforms and say some of the most ridiculous, inane things. And last week, Saturday Night Live did a parody of it. And it was like, you can win like um $50,000 by just sending a woman a normal message in the DMs. And it was like they were making a parody of like how these men just could not do it. They always had to say something cringe worthy. So I would say just don't say it. And if you haven't mastered the art of conversation, then maybe you need to go work on yourself before you're really trying to have a conversation with anybody. I don't know. What do y'all say out there? Some of y'all are watching. Tap in the comments and let us know what you think about this story. Sister, what say you?
I mean, I don't know how many people had heard about this. I hadn't, and that doesn't say a lot because I try to stay away from a lot of news and stuff these days just for my own mental health. But I will say, a few years ago, people really took issue with Monique's comments about the structure of her relationship. Now, mind you, I don't agree with all aspects, but I don't have to because I'm not married to Monique or her husband. But what I will say is, maybe some of these folks have openness that the rest of us don't know about. So when these kind of things are revealed, and to your point, yeah, it will be because I mean, he's Adam Levine. Now, here's the thing. The regular dude on the street, it may not happen to him like that. Adam Levine, it's gonna be pretty likely that
The
if
regular dude on the street, that girl is gonna send a DM to his girl. Cause see, we used to see them on Maury, and we used to see them on or
you
what's
know,
the other dude name?
Jerry Springer,
Jerry
Jerry Springer.
Springer.
No, no, no. Yeah, I get that part, but I'm saying though, but when you're Adam Levine, the front man for Maroon 5, you can almost guarantee that it's gonna be put out in the public sphere because if for no other reason, I mean, because I'm taking nothing away from Instagram models, but if she's an Instagram model, then the whole point of being an Instagram model is to have more followers and more attention. And so,
Everything she does is about sharing everything with the world. Now,
right.
this is the thing that got me in his apology right here. My wife and my family is all I care about in this world. Really? All? Okay. To be
No,
this
it's
naive
grammatically
and
incorrect.
stupid enough to risk the only thing that truly matters to me was the greatest mistake I could ever make.
I will never make it again. I take full
Dude, you ain't
responsibility.
13, you 43. Stop. Full stop. You know better.
Well, he said he did, and he said he will never make that mistake again. He takes full responsibility. So
Five
let's
women
hope he
have
does.
come forward with his DMs. Okay.
Well, he said he just started taking full responsibility. He didn't say before.
Woo, child. All right, all right, all right. Well, we're gonna leave Adam Levine and his DMs over there, and then we're gonna talk about this other couple who you guys are tuned in live with. Hey, sister, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure that you join the conversation in the comments. You like, follow, share, subscribe, and make sure you subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting platform. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms. Search for Hey Sister. If you don't see our picture, drop our names in that search and you're going to find us. We want you to subscribe on Spotify, on Apple, on Google, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. Come on. All right. Dang, I miss Adam Levine gossip. You go back and watch it in the replay, Keisha. You got
Oh, I love that profile picture, Keisha.
it's gorgeous. Yes,
Hmm.
honey. All right. So the other one I want to talk about tonight, and we want to talk about tonight and get into is Tom and Giselle. Now we all saw this coming. Like I didn't even need my glasses on to see that this one was coming, right?
Right.
When that man said he retired and went home in 11 days, I think it was, he unretired. We
I,
all knew right then and
we
there.
talked about this on Hey
Yeah,
Sister. Hmm.
yeah. We all knew right then and there. Things ain't good on the home front. It's this is gonna go south real fast. And so now it is being reported that Tom and Giselle are kind of officially moving forward with hiring divorce attorneys and having that real um I guess that real conversation about breaking up. Sister, what say you? What you think about Tom and Giselle?
I mean,
That's it. Okay, we can
I
move
mean,
on
listen.
then.
What I think is that Tom Brady has been in the NFL for a very long time. He is, I believe, 45. Is specifically 45 years old. Is it?
Mhm.
I think so. Um, so yeah, let's just say what he's been in at least 20 seasons in the NFL.
More.
Yeah, at least. And
Mhm.
so I don't know how long he's been married, but I think what 14 years or so was it? Is it? Don't guess.
Um,
We could just see how long they've been married.
Child, you can take a look. I mean, I know. Well, we know he was with Bridget. I think it's Bridget Moynihan, who was
Monahan.
another man, model, who his first son is with. When he then moved over and transitioned to his relationship with Giselle. I'm gonna tell you something. See, Giselle had that man doing yoga, meditating, had him get that nice vegan lifestyle, got these last few, got him that extra Super Bowl win in Tampa Bay because she had him
Mhm.
all healthy out there doing Pilates. And see, I kind of think, and again, I don't know these people from a piece of ham and cheese, okay? But I think he was starting to feel himself a little bit again, you know. And he went home and was like, dang, 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 I can't do this. I can't do this. And I understand that when you've been a part of something so very long, I mean, there will become a point where literally he physically will not be able to do it any longer. So
Mhm.
that point is coming because Father Time is undefeated. So it is coming as well as he takes care of himself. However, I just think he just started feeling himself just a little bit too much and probably doesn't even recognize or understand what it takes to be at home because he hasn't been. And I
Right.
think that's
So
a hard adjustment because it's like, wait a minute, I'm usually going to camp and going here or going there. To actually be at home all the time is a rude awakening for a lot of people. And we learned that during 2020.
that is true. Okay, let me say, okay, I'm gonna say something. So first, they've been married 13 years. It looks like he's 45, she's 42. Okay, and Giselle has more money than him, so it ain't like she's just sitting around here trying to wait to collect a
Her
check.
net worth is 400 million. His is two, girl.
So it'll be
200 million.
interesting to see how that pans out because she does have children who are still in her care and so I would it's like I mean, do you have to pay somebody who makes almost double your salary? Do you still have to pay them? I don't know how that works. It'll be very interesting to see. What I will say is, yes, I think that part of it was that he did not know how to make the adjustment to going home. So it was like, so I'm going to go back to doing this thing. But the issue with that is, it is not as if he couldn't go and do other stuff, right? Because he had already started, he has a production company, or he's at least has a production that has been done, completed about his life and what have you. He obviously was already being talked about to do commentation and different things like that. Um, so it's not as if he couldn't have gone to do other things and still to still occupy his time. So
Hmm.
it's something to be said about him specifically wanting to go back to playing football.
Hmm.
And like you said, I mean, yes, she introduced him to a whole different way of eating and meditating and all these things. And so I remember one of my friends saying that, her mother was like, you don't want to have to take care of a sick man.
Hmm.
And it's interesting to me because maybe Giselle is feeling like, why are you not leaving while you on a high note?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
have, you still have your physical health. You still have your mental health. Why would you not want to leave on a high note? And I can see that being frustrating. And the thing about it
Absolutely.
is, even though you physically might feel okay and you look good and you performing well, it only takes one hit. And then who's going to be there to care for you? This
Hmm.
lady's been caring for children now for, like I said, 13 years of
13
marriage.
years.
So
And
she's
it's two
been,
or three children. I know he had the one before, and then they have
yeah.
two together,
I don't
right?
know how many. I
Yeah.
think something like that. So I just think it does say something about, are you being a little bit inconsiderate and selfish when you decide that you want to go back and play? Not, I mean, we get it, you can, but you've already hit you've already done all the things.
Yeah.
What else is
Well,
there to accomplish?
we got a lot of comments here, and I want
Yes,
to go
sorry.
through them.
Mhm.
And but one of the things I did want to say, but while you say he may be
Oh, by
able
the
to,
way, 3 children, it seems like, but I don't know if that's including the old
I
his
think
old.
it's including the oldest one, and I think they have two together.
Okay, go ahead.
So he may want he may there may be opportunity for him to do other things, but he probably doesn't know what that is for him because he hasn't seen himself do anything else, right?
Mhm,
And that is hard. Identity, knowing your identity is not just the sport you play. A lot of people struggle with that. So
mhm.
we got a comment here. It says she told them kids daddy will be home now, and he switched it back up in 2 weeks. She was fighting mad. I would have been fighting mad too. Like Kristen said, well, wait a minute, bro. Like I'm not. I didn't sign up for all this that's to come. Um, when playing folks were holding him, Giselle was like, I ain't holding you. Leave that ego at the door and take out the garbage. Maybe so. Let's see what else. They are having a losing season for so far too, right? So then you're going to be asking, what was that for, right? Another comment is he's probably used to being pampered and catered to as a big shot QB. Things go quite differently when you're at home 24/7 as dad. Daddy has a lot to do now at home. I don't disagree
Well,
with
that's what
any
I'm saying. I
say.
don't see him having been daddy 24/7 because there were gonna be so many other opportunities for him. I mean, look,
But you never know. Maybe they've already tried, because usually when they're gonna go into broadcasting, they start trotting them out on different shows when they're in the off season and stuff. We didn't see any of that with him.
no,
You
I didn't
know,
see that with Drew Brees, and they just trotted him out, and he tried it right on back in.
exactly. No, but I did see it with Drew Brees. He was tried it out a few times on a few shows, but
Right.
obviously it didn't stick, right? Because there's a different when you're doing it consistently all the time, right? So I don't know. Maybe they've tested him and done a few things, and so maybe that's not it. Maybe he still has to find out what is right for him. I don't know. All I know is
Well,
that
the
I hate
the
to see.
Manning children look like they good with these Caesar's playbook commercials and stuff. So
Listen, Peyton and Eli, they
they
getting
look
it.
like they
Look,
good.
Cooper ain't played since high school, or his first little spate at Ole Miss before. It's like, okay, you're not gonna be able to play because of
But
this injury, baby. They even get Cooper checks on
right.
all the shows. Okay, they're like, no, this is the Manning dynasty. Daddy, you gonna be in this commercial? Come on over here and get on up in this commercial too,
Right. So I just feel
right?
like Tom had it's a lot of things, Tom, that you could have done. I feel like it, but
I mean, call Peyton and Eli. They seem to be like you said, they doing it and they doing their way out. All right. One of the other celebrity couples that we learned this week is breaking up. And this is the one that really was like, Tia Mowry, one of our favorite sister,
sisters,
maybe because sister, um, twin,
they
filed for
look the
divorce
same
from her
though.
husband. Huh?
I said they look the same though.
They do look the same. We're twins, but we don't look
Don't
the
look
same.
the same.
They do look the same. Um,
That's an
but
inside
from her
joke, y'all.
husband, Corey Hardwick,
Hardrick.
Hardrick, Drick,
Yeah.
not Wick, Hardrick.
Yeah.
And this one was like really, I was really sad to hear about this one,
Me too.
because you know we saw the show when I can't remember what the show was that they had with her and her sister. So we saw her pregnant with both of her babies and having her babies and doing the social media and watching them. And I think they too been married for
14 years.
14 years.
Hmm.
It's this one was tough to see. Just such an absolutely beautiful family, to see them divorcing. This was a tough story to take a look at. So what did you look at that beautiful family? Come on. Oh, come on. Why y'all so cute? And we know he been working. He been doing his little shows. He been out, he at least getting a little steady paycheck. Come on. I don't know, sister. What say you?
This one does make me sad. Obviously, like you said, I don't know these people at all from a personal standpoint, but over the years we've seen them, grow from being uh co-starring on different shows together to then getting married, then having both of their children, and even showing like their son getting accepted into a school that he really wanted to get into. All of the cute videos and things on IG. I mean, look, on the one hand, I guess it shows that even when things look like they're okay, you never know what's going on. In the background, he's obviously vehemently denied any infidelity or wrongdoing. I'm just wondering if I'm wondering because at first when people use the term and it could be clickbait because I don't know that he said this, but when people say things like, "Oh, they were blindsided," that is strange to me.
Hmm.
Because I'm always like, if we're in the same relationship, and in this case married with two children, 14 years, I feel like you've had conversations about how you're feeling what's working, what's not working, what you need to um yeah,
I
I
don't know
do.
about that, sister. Mm-mm. I would not agree with that 100%.
Okay, well, I say everything that's on my mind, and even if it might fall on deaf ears, I'm gonna say it. Listen, this is where I'm having a problem. This is what is not working for me. I'm just saying it's hard for me to see blindsided because I'm like, are we in the same relationship? Plus, I don't know if they had already separated because I did notice like her Instagram videos, a lot of them definitely were without him. It was just her and the children. So I don't know if there was already some separation that had happened, but I'm just curious like, did we ho- blindsided feels strong for me.
Yeah, I would say that. And again, like you said, that could very much be clickbait. We know that what goes on in the marriage, no one really knows what's happening within the household with those people. I think we can make assumptions that because of the way we communicate, that others are communicating like that within their relationships, that they are having those crucial conversations, those hard conversations on a regular basis, that they're even just checking in on a regular basis. I asked my husband the other day, "Are you happy?"
Mhm.
Just asking the question, are you happy? Right.
Mhm.
Um, because I know his happiness is not dependent upon me, but his happiness is important to me.
Right.
Right. And so that is, you have to be checking in all the time and having those types of real life conversations about everything. I mean, everything. And if you're not, um, And if you're not committed, as you said, with your friendships, right?
Mhm.
And you talked about the four agreement, and even with your friendship, if that relationship is important to you, then you are going to be working and towards growing it together and
Yes.
moving forward together and having conversation together and where understanding that not taking things personally and understanding that what that person may be going through is not about you, it's about them, and probably trying to work and support them to get through the things that are going through um together. And so I see you dropped another article in here. I'm going to drop that down here in the comments about Corey denying that there is any infidelity type of conversation. So, but let me look at some of these comments. So, Kiana said this one made her sad too. I was rooting for that sister, sister. All right. I didn't know she met him at a bus stop. As Keisha said that, and Kiana said gave him a ride, and now she's dropping him off. Oh, another comment. I don't know who this Facebook user is because it just says Facebook user. It was
It's
tough to
weird,
see.
right? Because last time it said Facebook user too, but then when you look at the comments later, you see who the user is. So I
Okay,
don't
yeah.
know.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I got it showing on another. Oh, this is Dominique Johnson, it says.
Okay.
Okay. It was tough to see, but I feel like she's mentally preparing for this trend. She's been mentally preparing for this transition. Some of her recent videos show her glowing. And as well as the she spoke recently in interviews, he has been differently. Her energy is different in a good way.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But also I know that she's in her what she's 40,
44 and he's 42.
44, 42. We noticed this decade in the 40s, this decade get real in the field for folks. It gets real in the field because this is really the time I think when most from just a developmental perspective we come into the fullness of who we are.
Well, it's
And so
also theoretically, if you look at the average life expectancy for a man and a woman, you're in middle age. And I know
yes,
nobody likes to say that, but you're middle
yes,
age.
you're
So
middle age, you're
so you
looking at
gotta be
like,
like,
okay,
okay, I'm half done.
yeah, I'm
So
gonna get real focused, really sharp. Like it gets
right.
like sharp. And I think that those are the conversations that's like, nope, I'm gonna be making these decisions. I'm going to be looking out for me, my wholeness and my happiness, because I want the the second half of my life to be even greater than this first half of my life. You
Right.
know, and we saw that and talked about that a little bit, like with Niecy Nash, a couple of years ago. You know, who was married and had wrote a book and had wrote another book about this husband, and then boom, she was divorced and married to a woman. We were like, say, what now? Hold up, wait a minute, you done mixed it all up. But one of the things she said in her in being interviewed was like, you know, why not have amazing or magnificent? What was the quote? I can't remember it exactly.
Actually, I think it was Lena Waithe who said it, but they were having a conversation. It's like,
Conversation, yeah.
why have good when you can have exhilarating?
Exhilarating, yeah. And I was like, so she found what is exhilarating for her in her 50s. And so I say, hey, go for what you know, if you're healthy, happy, and whole. But it is difficult to see relationships that, as you say, you're rooting for people to make it to the finish line and to see them not. So Keisha said, don't waste my time, age. Exactly. We got another comment here from Geneva. Marriage is definitely hard, and as both partners grow and mature, needs change. Absolutely. The ability to adapt to crucial, I
It's
guess it's
crucial.
crucial to keeping a marriage together. And this may be off base, but some men have issues with higher earning wives. Who knows? That you ain't never lie. Some men do, some men don't. My husband told me he ready to be a kept man. So but others don't don't feel that way. So it is there's a lot that goes on. We don't know all what goes on in people's marriages. But to your point, what you said about Monique and her husband and her making that declaration many years ago about them having an open marriage and what that meant for them, and the honest and truthful conversations that they have with each other. I think at the end of the day, for all relationships, and relationships matter, whether it's with your girlfriends, like we talked about at the beginning, with your business partners and who you get in relationship with, and your romantic partnerships and relationships, and your marriages. If you are not ready to have open, honest conversations consistently, where you have done also your own introspection and your own work and own your own stuff you bring to the table, then they always will fall apart. Don't matter what the relationship is. It could be your relationship with your mama. But if you do your own work and do that introspection and are prepared to have these honest and open conversations, because to me that's really what an open relationship is about, is really having really honest dialogue. If you're doing that, then your relationships, they will endure for a lifetime. At least that's my belief. I don't know what you believe, sister.
Well, I'm gonna believe I'm gonna turn on this light for a second. I actually I want us to segue into the next topic about the Tamron Hall conversation, because then that will give I will actually have, I think I'm gonna have some different insights than you think. So that's why.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Dominique. Preach this. I try,
Mhm.
girl. I try. Okay. So a day ago, my husband was watching the Pivot podcast. This is one of his favorite shows to watch. And we were watching the interview with Tamron Hall. So if you haven't heard of the Pivot podcast, it is with if you got a man in your life, he has heard of the Pivot podcast. It's with Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, and Fred Taylor, all three former NFL players. And there was this piece of this interview with Tamron Hall that really caught our eye, because she was talking about maintaining friendships with her exes and her husband not really liking it. So we'll play it. Y'all listen. If you can hear Listen in for a second.
I've been fortunate enough to date just about everybody I wanted to date.
Okay, pause right there. I've been fortunate enough
Wait,
to date.
ma'am. No, we're not doing that. Play
Oh,
it
that's how
and
that's
we.
how I watched it. Okay, okay. Y'all might jot some notes down. Listen, Claire. We listen with this third eye right up here.
And I've had wonderful dating. I always tell people there was nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with me. Sometimes it's timing. And so most of the relationships in my past, I'm still friends with. 95% of my exes, I'm still friends with. They said my husband hates it. He's like, why is he calling you for advice? You guys are together. I'm like, why not? So it's a big battle we have over my exes calling to check in. And I know the ones that are checking in.
Yeah.
No, but I know the difference.
But once a man knows that you done bumped uglies with another man, he doesn't
Bumped
want.
Ugly.
That's what I call action.
That's
You
actually
know-
the nicest you've ever said it. You
It
really
is.
respect Taylor.
Listen,
Thank you. I love you.
Listen, Tam, I love Tam.
I love
wish
you.
I was on the show.
I love you. He's
love him.
amazing. You wait till you see the episode. It's gonna.
But
It's
yeah,
amazing.
I'm on Steven's side. I
I
don't
see,
want
I
you
don't-
around dudes you done bumped uglies with before.
But that's implying that I can't handle myself, and I can handle myself. I mean, my ex, I have one that recently called me, and he's like, "Oh, because I dyed my hair. Well, I changed my hair blonde. I wore this wig for," and he was like, "You look hot in the blonde hair." I knew that wasn't appropriate. I could tell that, it's like, but I had another recently call, and he's like, "Hey, if you're around, let's grab coffee, something. I won't go for coffee. And they ask, but I will talk on the phone. And one of them is very funny. And we have this kind of banter over sports. He hates the Cowboys, so he'll call me about sports or whatever. But I won't go out for coffee. I won't go out for drinks. I I don't really want to talk about the past, right? We don't want to relitigate them. So I have boundaries. But my husband thinks it's all off limits. So I just it's a sore subject with him. It is. And he goes, well, what if I talk to my I'm like, okay, as long as you're not meeting up at the Chateau Marmont in the lobby, I don't care. But I think it's fine and I'm happy. And I think it's a good sign that most of my exes, not all, but most think that I'm a good person and I'm somebody they want to know and still know. I think that's a good thing.
All right, y'all. I see Simone is in the comments. It was a great interview. Yes, it was an awesome interview. I would love to hear y'all's feedback, but I'm gonna toss it to my sister for y'all tuning in live with Hey Sister. And I see some of y'all been married a long time on here, and y'all can drop on in these comments and let us know that would your husband feel like her husband Steven and be like, hell no to the no, no, no? And how will you feel if your husband is keeping up with the exes? So let me see. We got I don't like it. She's doing too much, and her husband needs to handle that. Her husband said he don't like it. Sonny LaBeouf says I like it. We got another comment here, and that would be an absolute no for my hubby too. Yes. I have no desire to converse with my exes. So her husband, not enough? I don't know. It's a no for me. Okay, so sister.
All right. So, sister. So, first, let me preface by saying, as
Let me lean
everybody
on
should
back.
know, I am not married. So, therefore,
But you
I,
engaged it.
I sometimes I don't know, but I don't. So first of all, when you and Jeff told me about this conversation, I made a lot of assumptions, and I was like, okay, well, this is probably this, and this. Then I listened to it again. Now, yes, the starting off, like I've dated probably every man that I wanted to date. That was she was slightly, that was
She got a big
a
ego.
humble
Hey, got the big ego. Okay, go ahead. I'm not
humble
Beyonce, but y'all got the picture.
no, humble brag, yes. But I thought about it, and nobody's gonna like what I gotta say here. But I'm like, if she hadn't said that she understands, like I'm not trying to go back down memory lane and we're not revisiting the past or relitigating the past. If she had not said that, I might have a different perspective. But I will say, I have talked to people that I dated before since I had not dated them. Um, One of my exes is very good with money. He got a lot of stock picks. I might call and ask him, what do you think about this stock? Should I buy it before the split or after the split? I have done that. I don't call him every day or every week, but he's smarter than me in that area. Um, Another person that I dated is into real estate. If you hit me in the DMs,
You see,
I'm
I'm
gonna
leaning
ask.
to the side,
I
right?
know, I
Go
know.
ahead. All right.
But if you hit me in the DMs, what's up? Blah blah blah. I'm gonna ask you about real estate. Now
We just
maybe
talked about the DMs. Okay, go ahead.
you did, and so if somebody hits me in the DMs, I'm going to let you know. Look, th- tell me about your real estate business or whatever. That's it. That's all I got for you. But the idea that I think the problem is that very often people feel like men and women can never be friends with each other. And there are people who have legitimately been married and have recognized that they are better not being married than when they were married, but they still have a friendship. And that friendship, revolve around their kids or whatever. But this idea that you should just never ever speak to somebody that you used to date, that seems a little far from me. And it does. I'm just I it does. Cause at the end of the day, your look, I'm gonna say this and this gonna sound real ugly. I would rather you talk to an ex who you have nothing with and but she a decent human being than talk to a friend, a best friend or something who really on the slick got a crush on you, but she just ain't never figured out how to get out of the friend zone.
Gotcha. All right, we got a comment here. It says, if husband doesn't like it, then agreement should be reached as to boundaries.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
Agree, me too. Just have to have boundaries. I talked to some of my exes, also not married. So I'm going to say this, and this is where it comes down for me. What was very clear in that interview is that her husband has a problem with it, and he
Mhm.
is bothered by it.
But can we
And
also say,
let
I'm
me
not okay,
finish.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let me
So sorry.
finish. And so, A, I want to acknowledge that men and women can be friends. I want to say, B, if you've been in a relationship with someone and you have both moved on and carried on with your life, and whether you're married now or not married now, that yes, if you truly have a friendship, you can be friends. I would say C. I did A, B, so I got to go to C. I
Yes.
would say C, that we also have to be careful because some people have the spirit of entertainment. And when you entertain, um that you might get caught slipping.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But what I am also going to say is just on the face of
Because
you
one
can't
day he
talk to
going
but just on the face of you can't talk to anybody that you ever had a relationship with, or in the case of what the gentleman said, bumped uglies with, that just feels like, wow, that's limiting because depending on how old you are today and depending on when you started, that could be a lot of years and a lot of other things happen that you and that person have absolutely, like Kiana mentioned, she has no interest in talking to any of her exes. Then that makes sense. If you don't have no interest in talking to them, then you're not going to be like, oh, what's up? But you've had situations where you run into somebody and then you're like, oh, okay, you can have a cup of coffee and talk to the person. Damn, like
absolutely. But why you want to put me on? Y'all see how my sister trying to put me out here on Front
I'm
Street?
not.
Why is she trying to tell my business?
That's
What?
because
Okay.
that's not Front Street. If I see somebody
Yes.
who I used to date
I can
and I'm
see
at a
someone, I can say
coffee shop,
hello if I'm out in public, absolutely. But there's a difference because the thing she's saying, her husband said, why are they calling you for advice? It bothers your husband. And you don't, if you don't have enough, yes, they think highly of you as a human being, which I think is wonderful and fabulous. But you or them not having that respect and that mutual respect for the feelings of your husband, and that will become a problem in your relationship.
Okay, and that's fair. She is not in that situation. She is not. But I would add, and this is going to sound really ugly, but again, I'm just saying, she said this in the interview. She said her husband is 5 feet tall. He's Jewish with the wireframe glasses from the Bronx, I believe it was, or Brooklyn, one of the two.
Brooklyn.
I'm sorry, I don't know all the boroughs. So there also could be insecurity on his part. So it's a lot of different factors that could be playing out because his wife is a beautiful woman. She's going to be talking to a whole bunch of
Time out,
different men.
homie player, please. If that man cannot call their landline and say, "Hey, Steve, how you
No,
doing? What's
nobody got
good?"
a landline, sister. Stop it. Stop
Okay,
with the
so
landline.
if that man can't call and say, "Hey, Tam, how you doing? Let me holler at Steve," out of respect, it is about us. It is about respect.
And I fully
And
agree
so
with
there
that.
is not an area of respect. And so, like she said, it implying she can't handle. It's not implying she can't. It's not implying that you can't handle yourself. It's implying that there's this piece that your ego is so caught up in that you're not respecting you're in the relationship, in the marriage. So let's see some more comments. I speak to exes if I see them, but we not dialing each other numbers, of course.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
You can be cordial when you see them in public, but none of them need to be calling my husband's phone. So come on, Geneva, come on with it. Okay, I have a solution. All of them can call me and I'll intercede. Yes, how about that? Yes. Let's see. Knowing men, they're calling her saying, "You sure you want to stay over there?" He's sure. Men can be disrespectful
And
too.
that so that is the
Very
thing.
much so. And as what my husband said, he know when men, we all know. Keisha, I wish you would get Mark on here and comment on this. Because see, we know about that fishing pole. You know what you do when you go fishing? You cast that pole and you waiting for a bite. Sometimes we cast our pole here and wait for a bite. We cast our pole here and wait for a bite. And it's homecoming season. You know they all cast the poles out here and waiting for a bite.
No, and so that is
Spouses
the
must
thing.
prioritize the feeling of one another. Agreement has to be reached on what works and what doesn't.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that goes back to the conversation that you just brought up about Monique, because that's where I wanted to get with it. At the end of the day, Monique said she wants to know what her husband is doing because it is the deceit that makes cheating a problem. It's the lies, it's the covering up, it's not being honest. If he has feelings about wanting to sleep with another woman, not saying he has to do that, but if in their case, they may have decided that that's okay. But if he has those feelings, she wants him to feel comfortable enough to come to her and express that he has those feelings. And so that is the issue. It doesn't sound to me, and I'm no therapist. So for the therapist out there, you can help. The issue really does sound like maybe y'all really not in it for the same reasons, or y'all don't
Mm,
view marriage the same way. And that's why he sees it as I don't like it. And she's like, but what you saying about me? Cause
mm,
because it don't sound like maybe they're having some of these in-depth conversations about prioritizing each other's feelings and agreement and what works for their relationship. Cause otherwise they wouldn't be like, I mean, because it's like it don't sound like she changing anytime soon.
It doesn't sound like she's changing anytime soon. So that will be very interesting to see and how it all ultimately plays out. Because we just said clearly, things is breaking down a lot of places. But if you want to watch the full interview, I'm gonna drop the comment here so you can watch
And it
it.
was a good interview. I thought it was a good interview and was very interesting. And even that part, I think listen, if men and women, especially around something like sports, can have this kind of dialogue that allows them to talk about things that maybe they wouldn't typically talk about. And if this podcast or Hey Sister gives them the opportunity to do that, then I think that's a great that's a great thing. Because at the end of the day, forever is a long time. And
Mhm.
so to be with to commit to being with one person for the rest of your days means that y'all gonna have to do some compromising, some conversations, some hard works. I mean, not no, I don't like to say hard work. You're gonna have to have some hard conversations, and you're gonna have to do some work.
Yes, but all of that work starts here. So if
And
you start, as Michael said, with the man in the mirror, I'm on my singing thing tonight,
I
y'all.
see, I see.
If you start right there and have honesty and transparency and and really forthright about how you're changing, how you're growing, what new desires you have, what new things you want to try, and what new things and worlds you want to experience. When you are honest about that and you're with someone who you can share those things and have that honesty and transparency, it can be for a lifetime.
Mhm.
And it will be for a lifetime, and you will be happy and thriving and laugh and joke and everything. And I love how what you said, Monique said, because a lot of people out here getting cheated on. It is never about sex. It's
And
never
it's
about.
certainly not about beauty.
It is
How,
not about beauty. It's about something that that person has missing within themselves, and they're seeking to feel it, and they feel like their partner is not feeling it. And so, if you're not honest and having some honest and transparent conversations, then that person will never even be allowed an opportunity to feel it. You see what I
and
mean? So
yeah,
that deceit
absolutely.
and that deception, that is what is very is hurtful and unfair, because I believe that we should give each other an opportunity to show up in ways we've never shown up before for each other.
I agree. And I will say last again, as the not married person, um
Honesty,
some
transparency. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
and yes, absolutely. But as the unmarried person, the other part I would say is, speaking of honesty and transparency, some people are not getting married for what we say marriage is about.
Mm,
Some people have gotten married because they're having a baby. Some people have gotten married because they old and they're like, I'm old. I have to do this thing. Some people are getting married because you're made to feel so bad
mm-hmm,
if you don't do things in this life in a certain order.
mm-hmm,
Um, and so again, talking about honesty and transparency, if somebody is saying you've been together for 20 years, when y'all get married every day for 20 years, then people may get married and really that wasn't what they wanted to do. But it's hard to have that level of honesty for some people.
yeah.
So
But again, as we talked about over the whole course of this show tonight, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in, is that and when it comes to relationship matters, whatever the relationship is, if it's your marriage relationship, your girlfriends, or your guy friends, or your business partnerships, or your community organizations, it doesn't matter. If you're in relation with other people, you have to have honesty. You have to have transparency. You have to start with that man in the mirror, with that introspection. Um, we talked about the four agreements and using it as a benchmark in how we communicate and even express our desires. But if you are not willing and prepared, if you're not willing and prepared to walk through this with that other person, then don't even get into the relationship. Allow them to be free and allow yourself to be free as well, because freedom is a wonderful thing. And with that, we want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight to Hey Sister. If you just catching us, go back and watch the replay. You can catch it on YouTube. You immediately following this broadcast, you can catch it on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to listen to it during your drive tomorrow, go ahead and find us on Spotify or Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast. Search for Hey Sister. You might have to type our names in, find it, download it, subscribe, and tell everybody all about Hey Sister, and join us and join our movement. Oh, we got some more. We got more comments in here. Oh, sorry you're late, Nicole, but we're signing off. So good night, everybody.
Good night, and love y'all. Thank y'all for supporting us.